Hello, welcome to the show. It's June 20th, and today we're going to go over some calls that we made today, and we're also going to throw in a little value content of buying bonds on Charles Schwab. That's what the trading platform we use today. So let's get straight into it. Before we get into our options trade and the bonds trade that we made today, what I'm going to talk about, I use CNBC as a watch list, and this one watch list here is my put to calls that I can easily go to, and here's the ones that I'm interested in at this time. And this is actually kind of bad news for me. Uh, Occidental Petroleum, UPS, Nike, and Hershey are kind of some of the stocks that I think are undervalued at this time, and these are stocks that I like to sell puts against. We do have puts on most of those right now. We did them on Monday and Tuesday. If you can go back and watch those videos, you can watch those trades. But we also stocks that we own that we like to sell calls against because they're up pretty significantly is Meta, Google, and Amazon. So you would notice those here that we keep those, and we like to sell calls against them today because it's Thursday, and it's Thursday at around 1 o'clock. So we got 3 hours the rest of the day, and we got the 6.5 hours that the market is open tomorrow. So we're talking about 10.5 hours for calls that we sold today. We did make a video showing these calls, but showing these trades that we made, but the trades was executed. But here's these trades that we made already, and we're going to we'll demonstrate them again so that you can see them. We bought 2 bonds, T-bills. As you remember, we like to use T-bills as, instead of keeping our cash in cash to sell puts against them, we like to have bonds expire. We like to have bonds expire once a week so that if we do have a put that we have to pay up the money for, we do know we have a bond expiring that week. But as you know, if you watch our videos, we like to roll out. We don't like to be assigned to bonds unless be assigned to stock unless we really absolutely want to own them. So let's go ahead and go through and demonstrate a little bit these the bonds that we bought today. So here's what we use for our bonds. As I said, we use Schwab, and we like to use the 3-month treasury notes, so because we like for them to expire every 3 months. We bought 2 bonds today. We bought this this September 19th bond, and on here you notice that it's selling for $98.69 and it's yielding $5.37%. And the minimum you can purchase is 1. The maximum you can purchase is 16,500. And as I said again, those expire on September 19th. And we also bought some that expire on the 15th. Again, we're going to go to the 5.37. So let's go to the September one where where I can show you how it purchases. So you click buy, and so then you put in here. See, now you'll notice on this one the minimum is 16,500. So we're going to put in 30,000, and remember, we're paying 98.69, and its yield 5.36%. We're going to review the trade, and we did all this just so we can kind of explain to you how this kind of works. So again, it matures on September 19th. And so remember, we bought $30,000 worth, and how these T-bills work is the yield is going to be within the price that you pay. So we're only going to pay $29,608. And so at the maturity date on September 19th, they're going to deposit $30,000 into your account. So that means you would have made $392 for the 3 months that they was holding your T-bills. And remember, we use these as they mature. So we're actually having the same $30,000 work twice for us. We're using it to buy T-bills, and we're also using it to sell puts against our positions that we want to own. So let's go into the put option positions. So we're going to come here. Today, because the market is it was down or kind of flat, we really want to sell calls against positions that we already own. So we did sell calls today. We sold as you can see from the one that we had, we sold 1 call against Amzn, and we just kind of demonstrate that here on here again. We actually sold the 190 strike. We don't believe that Amzn can go to 190 at this point. and it is still sell. We're only going to sell one because we own over a little over 100 shares, and so we only sold one today, and it's actually kind of moved a little bit higher. So you can, the medium is 12 cents, and the bid is 11, and the ask is 12. So I mean, we may put 12 in there to see if somebody bites on it, but we believe it's almost, unless something really spectacular happened, we don't believe Amazon is going to be at 190. So even though it's only $12, it's pocketing $12 in our pocket just for 1 day's of work. And then we're also going to look at Google. We did sell some Google calls today. Google's at 177, up 73 cents right now. We're going to sell calls against it. And we sold the 182.50 strike. We sold the 180 strike. So that's Google, if it's up, $3 tomorrow, that could, we could be assigned, but as I said, we're not going to be assigned, and we bought it to roll out. So even if it did come up, we would roll it out tomorrow. I mean, I believe at the time our premium, it was a little bit higher, and I do believe we made a little bit more money than $18 on that. We also sold some puts against Hershey's. Let's see how that is doing right now. So Hershey's at 182 earlier today, was down a little bit more. So we did get more premium. We know we sold the 177, we sold the 177.50 strike, and we sold two of those. Like I said, Hershey's at the time, it was down almost $1. So the premium was in the 20s. So we made almost $50 off of that option. And the way that you can do it here, so if we was to sell two now, we would only make $26. So even if we did these trades, we would do them. We think it's a really hard time for these stock prices to move. We're talking, 6.5 hours. We're talking a little over 9.5 hours, or a little less than 9.5 hours before tomorrow, before these options expire. And that's just putting a little bit of money in our pocket. If we made $50, $60 today, we'd be happy with that. We had a decent week. The market was kind of flat. If we can get a market that's up pretty significantly, we can really sell more calls into it. If we can get the market down significantly, we could sell a little bit more puts. So how much money we make per week can vary. This was not a good week, but we did make some money. And I tried to think, how did I get to this point to be able to basically just print money the way that I do? I think it's very low risk. I mean, because if the stock goes up, worst case scenario, if I'm not able to roll it out, in most cases I will be, and I'll make a video here real soon to really cover in detail when I talk about rolling out or rolling up. So I think it's going to be hard for the positions to be taken away from me. But worst case scenario, I was buying Meta in the 90s, and now I wasn't able to sell a call today. But let's see what their calls are actually. Maybe I can. Maybe there is. I know Meta is down right now. So, I mean, I don't know if there's a trade out there for me, but Meta always has really good premiums. So even if let's say if we was to come out to 520, let's say if we was to go to 517.50, it'd be $14, or let's say we went to 15. Actually, I think this is a pretty decent premium for Meta. I mean, this is saying by tomorrow at 4:00, we don't believe that Meta will be selling for over 515, and we have over 200 shares of Meta. So, and we're actually, for $40 for tomorrow, we're actually going to do that trade. So we have to change it because the price went up, which is good for us. Let's actually just change it to 23. Now we have to see if the order was received, sell to open. So it actually was filled. So we sold two sell to open options at $23 on Meta. So even just talking to you, I was able to make $46, which helped out our week. So I just, even in that trade right there, to make $46, Meta's at $4.98. I don't believe it's going to be at $5.15 by tomorrow at 4:00. And if it does, we just roll it out, roll it up, and just keep it going. And so I always ask myself, how did I end up to this point? And I think about, just for that $46 Mela trade that you seen right there, how much do someone have to work to make that type of money? And how did I get here? And I have to really credit it to two things. That's reading and education or learning about stocks. And it's not so much you can watch a video and watch me do it, but it's going to be hard for you to have the confidence in what you're doing unless you really understand the game and how to play the game and be comfortable. Mainly be comfortable with the assets, because I'm not taking very much risk here. Even if with the Meta, even if Meta went to 515 and I didn't do nothing, and they took away my shares, then I sold Meta at 515 and not at 498, which I believe the stock market is completely overvalued and I should be raising capital. And that's why I try to be really, really careful on selling puts. I only have very select stocks that I'm selling puts on, because I believe those companies are overvalued. And I'll be willing to purchase UPS, Hershey's, Nike, and Starbucks. I purchase them right now in the open market, but I choose to just sell puts against them to help raise funds. So, and then also, besides the education, it takes capital. I know when I was young, and it's a problem with a lot of young people, you like to take a lot of risks to get capital. And a lot of times for me, it never panned out. So I did play this game a little bit with a little less capital, but it took me longer. But between working, saving, and working extra jobs to raise money, there was a time for some months I delivered pizzas, to raise money just to put in the stock market. But you have to do things to build up your capital. And, I learned early on in my teenage years, the more money you have, the more money you can make. And so, and I even still to this day, and I just imagine one day, I hope that instead of selling 2 or 3 or 4 or 1, I hope to get to the point where I'm selling 20 calls against Meta, and just how much money you'll be making there. And there's people out there doing it. Those are two things that I wanted to bring up: just the education, learning, and always learning, and then just and try to raise as much capital as you possibly can, even though that may take some sacrificing and not doing some things or having some things that you may want, but later on it'll pay off for you. I hope this information was beneficial to you. If you liked it, please like, please share, please follow, and I hope your investment career is successful. Thank you.